Virginia. This is the Goodies 500. A presentation of SETN, the Special Events Television Network. The Goodies 500 is brought to you by Goodies Headache Powders and Extra Strength Tablets. You get a lot more relief with Goodies. And by the makers of Skoal and Copenhagen. For real tobacco pleasure without lighting up. A pinch is all it takes.
Years ago, Martinsville Speedway held its very first stock car race. Things were much different then than they are now. This racetrack was dirt. The cars were all pre-war coupes. The purse was only about $3,000. The dust was horrendous. Perhaps, in fact, the only similarity was, then, as expected today, the grandstands were virtually sellout. Hi, I'm Dick Berggren, reporting to you from the Goodies 500 here at Martinsville, Virginia. We're looking forward to the richest short-track stock car race ever run. Over $250,000 up for grab in this, the most competitive league of auto racing in the world. And with me is the fastest man of the day, starting on the pole, the man who won the last time these cars were at Martinsville Speedway, Jeff Bodine. Jeff, what can we look forward to today?
Well, Dick, things have changed a lot in 37 years here at Martinsville. Clay Arrows has made this one of the most beautiful tracks in the world, really, especially for a short track. And today's race, well, the qualifying was extremely close as usual. It's been that way all season for the Grand National cars. So that promotes a fantastic race. Neil Bonnet on the outside of me here at the start is running real strong. Darrell Waltrip, Terry Labonte. You know, I could name 10 or 15 cars here that are capable of winning this race. Of course, we hope our Northwestern security car will be up front at the end like it was in April. But I'm sure the fans here are going to see just a superb short track Grand National race.
Working with me today on the broadcast, my colleagues, Benny Parsons and Mike Joy. Mike?
Thank you, Dick, and hello, everyone. Benny, as we get toward the end of this Winston Cup season, this race, aside from the $250,000 and the Winston Cup points, will take on added importance.
It really will, Mike, because there's a lot of people down there that need to impress today. A lot of drivers who need a more competitive ride. A lot of crew chiefs want a better car to work on. And a lot of sponsors looking for a better team to sponsor.
So as we get toward the end of the season, this could be a pivotal race for many reasons. 1 week ago at Dover Downs, Delaware, Bobby Allison, the defending Winston Cup champion, came out of turn number 4 at over 140 miles an hour, slammed into the wall hard, bending the seat and breaking his scapula, his shoulder blade. But Allison is here, even though the doctors a week ago said he would be 4 weeks recovering.
Bobby Allison is a tough man, and I think today we're going to see just how tough race car drivers are, Mike. He's got to prove to the world that he is tough enough. He's 46 years old, but he's going to drive a couple more years. He's already said, I'm going to fulfill my 3-year contract. And today he wants to prove just how tough he is.
Allison has a broken shoulder and several pulled muscles. Late model sportsman standout and occasional Grand National competitor Butch Lindley will stand by for Allison in relief. Let's go back down to pit road and Dick Berggren.
Bobby, how's the shoulder?
Well, it's okay. It's a little uncomfortable, but not bad at all. And yesterday I started doing a few exercises to get the muscle reconditioned because actually the muscle is what's so sore, where it got bruised and I guess pulled too. But it's doing good. I'm pleased with it, and we've got Butch. Butch will jump in for me, and I feel he'll do a great job in the car. And you know, we'll spend a little time recuperating and go on about our business.
How long do you plan to drive today?
I think until the first caution. You know, that could change. I don't know exactly how that deal will go. We'll have to play it by ear.
What's going to be the determining factor, Bobby?
Well, a caution certainly would determine it. But if we go green for quite a while, if I were to start wearing down, I think that I would get out. Or if it started to hurt too bad, I'd get out.
We'll be right back to set the starting lineup. Chevrolet on the super speedway races of the circuit, and as a former Grand National champion, you well know what it takes to survive for 500 laps here at Martinsville.
It takes a great deal. It takes a good race car. You got to use your brains, and the pit crew has to do an excellent job. This is probably the toughest racetrack on the circuit on equipment because of the engine RPM, the brakes, and the gearing, and also the sheet metal takes a beating because they're continually banging off each other in the turns.
Do you find yourself racing the racetrack as much as the other cars here?
No, I think here is where you've got to race the other cars. One racetrack that is that way. Now, you got to keep the brakes under and you got to keep the engine alive, but basically, you got to keep in front of those other cars because if you get behind someone and they hold you up, you can get lapped in a hurry.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's Goody's 500. You've already met the pole sitter. He's Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York in a Chevrolet at 21.15 seconds. He'll start alongside Neil Bonnet driving a brand new race car today, the Budweiser Chevrolet. In row number 2, the other Budweiser car for Darrell Waltrip, alongside the Piedmont Airlines Chevrolet for point leader Terry Labonte. In row number 3, the fastest Ford in the field, Ricky Rudd in Bud Moore's Wrangler car, alongside the Race Hill Farm Buick for Massachusetts driver Ron Bouchard. In row number 4, the Bandit, Harry Gant in the Skoll Chevrolet, alongside the talented rookie from St. Louis, Missouri, Rusty Wallace in the Gatorade Pontiac. In row number 5 will be Bobby Allison in the Miller Buick, the defending Grand National champion, and a good qualifying run for Kyle Petty in the 711 Ford. Row 6 finds Dale Earnhardt in a Chevrolet alongside Joe Ruttman from Upland, California. In the 7th row, Tim Richmond's Pontiac with the Chevrolet of rookie Tommy Ellis. In row number 8, Morgan Shepherd's Pontiac next to Dick Brooks' Ford. And in the 9th row, the Fords of Bill Elliott and Buddy Baker. In row number 10, Dave Marcus driving a Pontiac and the Canadian Trevor Boys in a Chevrolet. In the 11th row, Richard Petty's Pontiac and the Ford of hometown favorite Jimmy Hensley. In row number 12, Lenny Pond's Oldsmobile and J.D. McDuffie's Pontiac. In row number 13, 2 rookies, Phil Parsons in a Chevrolet and Doug Hevron in a Buick. In row 14, sportsman champion Sam R, alongside Buddy Arrington's Dodge. In the 15th row, the Pontiac of Jimmy Means, Ronnie Thomas Chevrolet, then Greg Sachs Chevrolet. SCTN's coverage of the Goody's 500 continues with the drop of the green flag right after these messages. The beautiful aerial shots you'll be enjoying throughout today's program were made possible by our SETN helicopter pilot, Tom Horosky. 2 days after this race, Tom was killed while piloting his helicopter in an attempted rescue mission. All of us at SETN wish to dedicate this show to Tom Horosky.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
At the command from Tom E. Smith, president of Food Lion Stores, 31 engines come to life at Martinsville Speedway for the start of this Goody's 500. Well, Benny, the crews have done their job. It's up to the 31 men that pilot those machines now.
It's up to the drivers. It really is, Mike. And, you know, right now is apprehension on everyone's part because they all got to get to that first turn. And at Martinsville Speedway, that can be a very difficult job.
As you've seen from the aerial photos, this half-mile speedway is in reality 2 drag strips connected by 2 U-turns. It's got to be the toughest track on brakes and rear ends on the circuit.
Oh, Mike, it is unbelievable. You know, the cars are running 100 to 105 miles an hour. You get to the end of the straightaway, and you literally got to go through those turns about 50, 60 miles an hour. And believe me, it takes all the brakes you can get hold of to stop the cars.
At the top of the show, you saw the dirt track footage from 1947. This track was originally paved with asphalt, but these 3,700-pound stock cars have really taken their toll on the corners. So much so that over the last 5 years, first the bottom groove and now the second groove in the corners are paved with cement just to withstand the side loads in the corners from these cars. Chief starter Harold Kinder puts the field under green. Who'll win the drag race to turn 1?
Jeff Bodine has got it, Mike.
Bonnet on the outside wisely drops in the second slot, and quickly the front 4 go single file. Bodine at the back straightaway. Bonnet, Waltrip, as they get to turn number 3. Bonnet is right there.
He is right there. The brand new car that Neil Bonnet has looks extremely strong today, Mike.
Terry Labonte has the 4th spot behind Waltrip. Ricky Rudd is 5th. Ron Bouchard in the 6th spot. And there is Ronnie Thomas' car that has spun to the inside of turn number 2 after a first lap collision with sportsman champion Sam Ard. Here comes Bodine out of turn number 4. And Harold Kinder drops the caution flag. Ard's car limps down to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's had a brush with the inside retaining wall.
Oh, that's such a tough break for Sam. His first Grand National race. He's 45 years old. He really needed to have a good race today if he's going to make it in Grand National racing.
Ard limps the Emmanuel Zervakis car onto pit road, and very quickly we're under the first caution. What a break for Bobby Allison.
Is it, Mike? I mean, I talked at the earlier part of the show about how tough he is, and I just got the impression that Bobby Allison wanted to be in there for 20 or 30 laps just to show the people, but you know, he can't turn his back on the caution flag that on the second lap.
Crew Chief Gary Nelson and the rest of the crew helping Butch Lindley into the car, getting Butch strapped in, as Allison is done for the day. But as the starting driver, he'll be the driver of record. He'll get the Winston Cup points that will accompany Lindley's finish. So the last word from Allison, and Lindley rejoins the field without losing a lap.
What do you think Bobby was saying to Butch? I can't imagine what he could tell him.
Might be, don't bring anything back with the steering wheel. On the other hand, might be
right.
Get back to the front of the pack, where Jeff Bodine resides. He was the pole sitter at 89.5 miles per hour average around this half-mile speedway.
That's quick, Mike. That really is quick. And Jeff Bodine is just finishing up what he started last spring. He won the race last spring and came back this race, sets on the pole, and the car looks strong.
We're back to racing as the green flag drops once again on the Goody's 500. Jeff Bodine in front. The modified division standout from Chemung, New York, who started his racing career at age 5 in a go-kart on a racetrack that his father owned. He's progressed through the NASCAR modified and late model sportsman ranks and now into Winston Cup racing, where he was Rookie of the Year. And at the start of this season, left to drive for a brand new race team. There's Butch Lindley and the Bobby Allison started. Miller High Life Buick trying to work his way up through the field of 31 cars that started this event.
I'll tell you what, he's got his work cut out for him, Mike. It is tough to pass this racetrack, and he's only got 30 cars to pass right now.
Already the field is strung out halfway around the racetrack, as in these early laps, the field really does sort out quickly and get single file.
Look at Bonnet. He is right on Bodine's bumper.
Neil Bonnet applies the pressure in the Junior Johnson Warner Hodgson Budweiser Chevrolet. His teammate Darrell Waltrip right behind in the 3rd spot. 4th, Terry Labonte. 5th is Ricky Rudd. In 6th is Ron Bouchard. And 7th, the rookie driver, Rusty Wallace.
Boy, he needs a good finish here today, Mike.
Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri, comes off a short track circuit where he's used to winning over half his races. We're watching Butch Lindley in 22. The Miller Buick work his way past veteran independent driver J.D. McDuffie in a Pontiac. Back up at the front of the field, Bodine is not having an easy time of it.
No, he really isn't. This new car that Bonnet has might be the answer.
Car owner Junior Johnson decided that he would build a car going back to what Junior called traditional values, and take some of the new ideas that have come into Grand National racing in the last couple of years out of the car and build a very traditional race car, partly to establish a baseline and also perhaps to satisfy his own curiosity about what would and wouldn't work on the short track.
It looks like right now that whatever he has is working pretty well, Mike. Butch Lindley's still making a charge. He's still coming up front. The car's running real well right now.
Lindley has a lot of experience on tracks of this size, and Martinsville Speedway in particular. He's been the National Late Model Sportsman Champion.
Look at Bonnet push Bodine off that corner.
And there is Phil Parsons.
Oh, no.
Spun out in the Skoll Chevrolet, bounces off the curbing, brings it back up on the racetrack right in front of the leader.
Tough break. Just he gets lapped by just that much.
And he will go a lap down. Jeff Bodine's the leader at Martinsville Speedway, the red and white Northwestern Security Life Chevrolet, number 5, prepared by veteran crew chief Harry Hyde. And now he's opened up about a 7-car length lead on Neil Bonnet.
I really don't know. Bonnet at the beginning of the race was right on his bumper, but Jeff is pulling away. Again, this car, as the racetrack gets a little slicker and gets a little few laps on those tires, seems to be dominant, Mike.
Jeff Bodine will put a lap on rookie driver Doug Hevron also a New York State native, in the same car that won back here in April. The 8th race for a brand new team owned by Rick Hendrick out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and crew chief by Harry Hyde, and a lot of people were surprised they won that early.
I was just totally surprised. I couldn't believe it. The 8th race into the season for a brand new team, it's something that's not done in Grand National Racing.
Here's Kyle Petty, who started in the 10th position, and he's had a good run thus far in the early going here at Martinsville. The 3rd generation driver from Randallville, North Carolina, in the 711 Ford. Right behind him, the California driver, Joe Ruttman, in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Ruttman's car used the standard Monte Carlo nose, not the Monte Carlo SS Super Speedway nose, as favored by Bonnet and Waltrip. Now Bodine has opened up an even larger advantage over the second-place car as they lap traffic. That's Ronnie Thomas of Christiansburg, Virginia, they're working past. And you get to see just how narrow this racetrack is.
It really is narrow. You see just how much that Bonnet gained on Bodine when he passed one car in the turn. Bonnet must have gained 10 car lengths on him that time. So traffic is really important, Mike. It really is, because you can either gain or lose so much. See, now he's back. He's right on. He's very close to it.
Bodine is the only driver to win in this speedway in all 3 of the major divisions that race here: NASCAR Modified, Late Model Sportsman, and Grand National.
Look at Butch Lindley. He's under Kyle Petty. This has got to be for about 10th spot right now, Mike.
Lindley replaced Bobby Allison, restarted 31st in the field, and has come all the way up through traffic to run in the top 10 in Allison's number 22 Buick.
He might be the fastest car on the racetrack now, Mike. He really is gaining on the leaders, I think.
At the front of the field, Bodine in the number 5 car. Bonnet in 12. Running the first 2 spots, Darrell Waltrip, Bonnet's teammate, is 3rd.
You know, we talked about the top of the show, though, as we watch Jeff Bodine go around the turn. We talked about the top of the show, just how tough this racetrack is on equipment. You know, the thing I'm concerned about is Butch Lindley using his car up, making these passes he's making right now, because doing what he's doing has got to be hard on the engine, the brakes, and the rest of the car.
Bodine laps past J.D. McDuffie. And you're right, Benny, on this racetrack, it's awful easy to get a lap down if you don't really charge toward the front.
I tell you, it really is, and yet to try to do that and keep the car together. Very tough racetrack, and the guy that wins today is really going to use his mind as well as his physically, as his hands and arms and feet.
Bodine started on the pole, and despite 2 caution flags, one for Sam Ard and Ronnie Thomas spin on lap 2, and another for your little brother doing his thing up in turn number 4, Bodine has led every lap.
He's slowing down.
Yeah, Neil is gaining ground, and he's going to put a challenge on Bodine.
Something that must be wrong with Bodine's car.
Bodine is way off the pace. Neil Bonnet has taken the lead, and Bodine's car is just coasting down the back straightaway.
Oh, what a tough break for Jeff Bodine.
After going to victory lane here in April and sitting on the pole, that car is limping toward pit road, but it's still under fire.
I don't see any smoke, so maybe it's just a flat tire or something.
Bodine will go to the pits. The 44 car of Terry Labonte will move up a notch into the 3rd position behind Bonnet and Waltrip, and here is Bodine on pit road. And he's going right past his crew, it looks like. Bodine will make that hard left turn around the back end of the pit road and into the garage area.
Well, I didn't think it was an engine problem. They're raising the hood on the car. It looked like they're going to raise the hood. I didn't think it was an engine problem.
Neil Bonnet assumes the lead, and Dick Bergeron is now standing by with Jeff Bodine.
Jeff, what happened?
Dick, we've lost our oil pressure. Our oil pump is locked up. Apparently something's inside it and locked the pump up. The car was just working absolutely beautiful, just out riding and really going easy, saving the car. The engine started to tighten up. That happens when you lose your oil pressure. The main bearings, without oil, tighten up and lock up. I noticed that. I looked at the gauge. I didn't have any pressure. I shut it off and coasted in. And they're going to try to fix it, but I really think our engine is too far gone to go back out.
What kind of shape is the racetrack in right now, Jeff?
Well, for me, it was perfect. Our car was just absolutely on a wire out there. It felt and looked like it was going to be a good day for us, but old lady luck got her oil pump, and here we are sitting in the pit.
It's a disappointed Jeff Bodine, shut on the pole here today, led the race for most of the beginning laps,
Won the race last time, but today, no oil pressure.
But it's not your day.
Isn't that awful? Oh, he's got to feel terrible. Terry Labonte is gained on Bonnet. He's right on his bumper right now.
Neil Bonnet lapped by Trevor Boyes, the young Canadian driver in the James Hilton car. And right with him is the point standing leader, Terry Labonte. Labonte's got some room on the inside.
Oh, he had a notion, Mike. He wanted to go alongside Neil Bonnet.
It has got to be tough, Benny, to get inside a driver in the corner, but pull with him off that corner down the straightaway.
Oh, it is, because as you come off the turn, the car naturally has a tendency to go up to the outside retaining wall, and if someone is beside of you, invariably you got to run into it.
Bonnet tracks down Trevor Boyes, trying to put Trevor a lap down and yet protect his blank against Terry Labonte.
It's kind of tough to do. And Boyes was trying to keep that lap, because if the caution comes out and the leader is right behind him, he gets to make up that whole lap and come back around. So he wanted to keep Neil Bonnet behind him, but Bonnet was just too strong.
He has now gone a lap down as Bonnet leads Terry Labonte. He's also put a lap on Richard Petty, the sport's all-time winner.
Yeah, Richard, I was just going to say, Richard has been off the pace a little bit today. You know, some days you just can't do anything right, and some days you can't do anything wrong. This is one day that Richard Petty can't do anything right.
Bonnet pulls up on Lenny Pond, driving a car that's owned by Dave Marcus. And here is Ricky Rudd's Wrangler car coasting down pit road. Bud Moore and the crew come walking out, but judging by that smoke, his day's done.
Well, yeah, we know exactly what's wrong with that car. He has an engine problem, but a moment ago with Bodine's car, there wasn't any smoke, so I thought maybe it was just a minor. But that's terminal problems right there, Mike.
Ricky Rudd coasts behind the pit wall as trouble up in turn 2. That's Morgan Shepherd's car. A lot of smoke from it, and he has coasted to a stop midway down the back straightaway.
The right front tire on that car is flat. You notice that how the car was leaning over on the right side, and the caution flag is out, Mike.
So Lenny Pond will get a break. He's running right in front of the leader, Neil Bonnet. He'll pull all the way around and rejoin the field. There is the right front tire that's flat on Morgan Shepherd's car, and he cuts sharply down the pit road for repairs. Well, no, he doesn't. He can't stop that car. Runs over the jack, and now he's come to a halt by the outside pit wall.
Looks like the guy threw the jack at the car to get it to stop.
And quickly got out of the way. The leaders will cut underneath Shepherd to make their pit stops, and they'll have to push him back to his pit position.
Well, you talk about rush hour traffic. This pit is something.
There's Morgan Shepherd backing up towards the pit road. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Ricky, motor let go on you?
Well, I think we dropped the valve. That's what it acted like. We really don't understand it. We won't turn it that much RPM. We figured that the racetrack was going to get greasy, and that we'd suffer a little bit in the beginning, and then later on when the track got greasy, we would start coming on. We just started moving up. I think we were fifth to get ready to pass Gant for fourth. And everything was going according to plan, and then dropped the valve on us.
Ricky Rudd's second major engine failure of the day.
He's had the best finishing record of any driver here over the last 4 races. We'll be right back. At Martinsville Speedway, Neil Bonnet is in command. Jeff Bodine led the first 37 laps before falling out of the race with oil pressure problems, and but for 1 lap led by Bill Elliott. Bonnet has been at the front of the field, but he's got close company. The blue car is Terry Labonte, the point-standing leader, and right behind him is Harry Gant.
And Harry Gant, the last couple of races, has really been strong. He totally dominated the race in the Southern 500 Darlington, South Carolina, Labor Day weekend. And in the Dover, Delaware last weekend, dominated that race. So we can look for big things from the 33 car.
Gant's team, led by Travis Carter and owned by Burt Reynolds and stunt band director Hal Needham, have begun a steady mid-season charge toward the front of the Winston Cup point standings. He's the runner-up right now behind Labonte, and they're running second and third in the race behind Neil Bonnet.
And you know, for what the Winston Cup pays, the championship's probably worth $500,000 to these guys. You know, are they going to take any chances? But yet, it is a race, and when you're out there, Mike, you forget about things like the points and things like that. You're trying, hey, Labonte's trying to take the lead.
Here comes Terry Labonte on the inside, challenging Bonnet for the front spot. Labonte's getting into the turn well, and Bonnet gives him a lot of room, but Neil Bonnet has the edge coming off the corner.
He really gets off that turn well. But running that high groove, Mike, you have a tendency to get off the turn with good momentum. Whereas when you're on the bottom of the racetrack, it kind of kills your momentum. Look at Harry. He's on the outside. He's going to use the high side to go by Labonte.
Gant comes up the outside looking for second spot. The inside used to be the only place to run here at Martinsville. It was the only groove where the cars could get a bite. But now that high groove, allowing you that jump off the corner, has proven to be equally as adhesive.
Well, you mentioned at the top of the show that the bottom of the racetrack is cement. It's concrete, and it's a little bit bumpy down on the bottom of the racetrack. As you move up, it gets a little smoother and easier to get a bite as you come off the turn.
So Labonte, who was contesting the lead, now finds himself fighting for second spot with Harry Gant, and he's going to lose it.
Well, he just said, look, you know, we're letting Bonnet get away by racing like this, so let's just get nose to tail again, get up to Bonnet, see if we can't get by him, and then go on to racing.
At this point, the only thing meaningful would be leading the race for a lap.
Well, right now, because if there is a 5-point bonus for leading the race, and Harry Gant, Terry Labonte both desperately want that one lap of leading. You're right, Mark.
The Winston Cup could be won by as little as 5 points when it comes down to the season ending at Riverside, California.
Hey, can you imagine racing for $500,000 in one race? I can't. I won the championship in 1973, and then it was worth less than $100,000. But today, with the money that Winston and a lot of other people put in, it's worth a fortune.
The Winston Cup champion receives $150,000, but as you point out, with endorsements, sponsorships, and incentives, it could easily be worth $500,000 to the winning driver.
At least that much, Mike. At least that much, with all the things that you can do with a championship.
This race today is the richest short track race ever run in stock car racing. $250,000 is on the line, and Harry Gant is looking for the lion's share of it right now.
He wants that victory. He wants that lead right now.
Bonnet's in front, the red and white Budweiser Chevrolet, the Junior Johnson Warner Hodgson-owned car, prepared up in Ronda, North Carolina. And right behind him, Harry Gant of the Skull Bandit, Piedmont Airlines Chevrolet of Terry Labonte.
There's another Budweiser car in the race, the 11 car driven by Darrell Waltrip, and he's drifted back. I don't quite understand. He qualified well, qualified third, but the car's kind of drifted back. It might not be a good day for Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip is in 6th position. Tim Richmond's Pontiac rides in 4th. Butch Lindley has put Bobby Allison's car up into the 5th spot. Waltrip is 6th. The rookie Rusty Wallace is 7th. Buddy Baker is 8th. Ron Bouchard is 9th. And Tommy Ellis is in the 10th spot. Followed by Dick Brooks, Dave Marcus, Bill Elliott, Kyle Petty, and Lenny Pond. Those are the 15 cars on the lead lap. Harry Gant has a look on the inside as Bonnet comes up on some race traffic in the form of Jimmy Means' Pontiac. And Gant is right alongside, but Bonnet can use that lap car as a pick.
He can. That's what he's trying to do. He's going to give Harry the inside right now and hope that they get to Means before they get to the straightaway. And they do.
Jimmy Means up in the high groove, takes the passing flag from starter Harold Kinder and drops down to the inside. Bonnet obliged to take the high road, and Gant is right back after him.
Harry is working extremely well on the bottom of the racetrack, Mike. There's very few cars that can do what Harry's doing down on that low groove.
Gant hoping Bonnet will slide up just a little bit too high, and he'll have room to poke the nose down underneath and challenge for the lead. It doesn't happen.
And meanwhile, Butch Lindley was just in that picture back there. He has gained on the leader. He's right there.
Here's Gant. He's got the inside on Bonnet this time. Let's see what he can do with him. They are dead even halfway down that back straightaway.
Oh, isn't this great? This is super racing.
And Gant is going to get the lead by a nose as they come off the corner. Bonnet's got to let him go this time.
They touched as they come off the fourth corner. Just barely.
Bonnet had to jump into line to avoid losing second spot, as Labonte did earlier.
Well, he was ready. Labonte was right there, just poised, waiting for Neal to stay up there. But very wise that Neal came back to the bottom of the racetrack and closed that hole for Terry Labonte.
And right side of your screen, just coming into view, will be Butch Lindley in the number 22 Buick. There's Lindley at the right side of the screen. All that infighting for the lead has allowed that fourth-place car to close up.
And he, right now, at this point in the racetrack, might be faster than Harry Gant. He just might be the fastest car on the racetrack. I haven't clocked him, Mike, but the 22 looks extremely quick.
Well, Gant is getting away. He's already opened up 6 car lengths on Neil Bonnet, and Bonnet is now wrestling with Labonte for second.
I don't know. Bonnet's car seems to run good for 40, 50 laps, and then the tires get hot and the racetrack gets a little bit slicker. The car is seeming to go back away from the fast pace.
There is Harry Gant. He's the race leader, trying to win his first Winston Cup championship. He had a lot of success on the Sportsman Series before coming to Winston Cup racing, and he was a 40-year-old rookie.
Isn't that something? But he has a vast amount of experience on all those sportsman tracks that he raced all over the country. And as I mentioned a moment ago, the domination that he's had. But can you imagine, Mike, he's dominated Darlington, 1 mile and 3/8, Dover, a 1 mile, and now he's trying to dominate Martinsville, a half-mile racetrack. So the car is working at each and every racetrack that he's been on.
Harry Gant, the race leader, has a lap car, rookie Doug Hevron from Liverpool, New York. To separate himself from second place Neil Bonnet, then Terry Labonte and Butch Lindley. Tim Richmond and Darrell Waltrip running about half a lap behind complete the top 6 cars. Off turn 4, past the start-finish stripe once again. The straightaways are long enough here, Benny, you'd think you'd get a bit of a break from the G-forces in the corners.
But you don't. Really and truly you don't, because by the time you get off the turn, now he's starting to relax. Just now he's starting to go in the next turn, so just for a brief second, you may have some time to relax. But it's very brief, Mike.
Well, that scoreboard, that's got to weigh heavy on you. Every time you come back down that backstretch, you see that scoreboard, and you can count those laps.
Yeah, there's 500 of them, Mike. Count them, every one.
Off turn 2, down the back straightaway. Here's the battle for second. Labonte now has the inside on Neil Bonnet.
Yes. Bonnet's car just is drifting back. Of course, it might be Harry Gant during the Bonnet that's getting stronger.
Labonte, seeing Gant getting away, he wants that second spot, and Butch Lindley is there at the top of your screen. Second and third are dead even as they come back to turn number 1. And Labonte will get a bit of advantage. Bonnet's engine can't pull him down the straightaway fast enough this time. Here's Gant lapping by Lenny Pond as the battle goes on for second spot.
Bonnet's not letting him go, Mike. He's staying right there, but I think Labonte has him this time.
Terry Labonte in the 44 car takes the second spot. Neil Bonnet relegated to third. And the fourth place car now moving into the thick of things is Butch Lindley. Harry Gant down the back straightaway yet another time as Lindley makes a move on Neil Bonnet. Can't do anything with him this time, Bob. Let's go to pit road and Dick Berggren.
Bobby, the car is smoking. The car is smoking. What's the problem?
Seems to be a small oil leak in the rear end breather, and it's in the wrong spot. So it's one of those things. The guys are trying to figure out what to do with it right now.
Butch Lindley driving the car Bobby Allison started in this race, showing smoke from the rear end, and that's a common malady here at this racetrack.
It really is. That Dick Berggren must have the eyes of an eagle. I never saw that smoke, Mike.
The NASCAR officials have been watching it for a while. If it presents an unsafe condition, they will black flag Lindley and make him pit to repair it. But right now, Lindley's challenging for third spot despite that smoke.
Well, it's probably something in the rear of the car. The smoke is coming out of the rear, and it's probably the rear end or something, because this racetrack is very difficult, very hard on the rear end, so that's not going to affect the performance of the car until it just totally breaks.
Lindley takes the third spot from Neil Bonnet, and you can begin to see the residue from that oil smoke piling up on the back end of his race car. Harry Gant now is all by himself in the lead after that battle for second that Terry Labonte took, and now Lindley in third, Bonnet in fourth.
Boy, Harry's put some distance on those fellas, hasn't he?
It's the biggest lead of the day.
He's driving.
And there's the black flag. That's for Butch Lindley. NASCAR's decided there's too much smoke to let him continue on the racetrack. They're going to make him pit and repair that race car.
Well, what happens is that when there's smoke, there is oil, and he is dropping oil on the speedway, which makes the surface dangerous for the rest of the competitors, Mike.
Here's a look at Ron Bouchard, the Massachusetts driver in the 47 car. He is moving up to challenge Rusty Wallace, and that will be for the 7th spot. Here's Lindley on pit road. Gary Nelson and the crew waiting for him. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
You can see the white on the left rear tire. He's had contact with another vehicle out there. Butch Lindley, I should say, is in. Oh, you can see the smoke pouring out from the rear of the car. They've got a hose underneath there trying to wash everything down. One of the problems here is to find out exactly where the oil is coming from. So they've got to get things cleaned up first before they can determine the location of the leak. But it appears to be a rear end leak. That's something that's very common here in Martinsville. Rear end troubles are one of the most serious difficulties for a lot of the teams at Martinsville Speedway.
I'd imagine that hose is more to cool down that rear end so they can work on it.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Mike, because that grease is so hot that a spot of it gets on your skin, it just literally takes the skin right off. If it was pour over your arm, it would take all the skin that it comes in contact with away.
Lindley brought this car from 29th position up to 3rd in the field. And now they're going to push that car behind pit wall to make further repairs. Right behind Labonte, a lot of smoke from Trevor Boyd's car. It looks like he has hand grenaded the engine in that machine.
I'm sure he has, because it just all of a sudden, poof, smoke, yes. And the caution flag is out. There is oil on the speedway, unsafe conditions, so the caution flag is out, Mike.
They have really greased up this racetrack with rear end problems and engine problems all afternoon.
And plus, it's hot today. It's, you know, it's 85, 90 degrees, and on that racetrack right now, it's probably 100 to 105 degrees. It's plenty warm.
So Trevor Boys, the Canadian driver, the James Hilton car, coasts into the back pit area and out of the Goody's 500. As caution waves once again. Been a rashy yellow fever today.
Yeah, sure has. You know, the last 4 or 5 races that's been on the circuit has been a rash of yellow fever. Lots of trouble, lots of caution flags, and a lot of tore-up race cars.
Under the yellow flag, most all the leaders will take the opportunity to get 4 fresh tires and a full load of fuel. Watch them sling that jack around in front of Neil Bonnet's car.
I tell you what, that jack weighs about 65, 70 pounds, and if you're in the way, your leg is broken, Mike. So that's not the safest place in the world on pit road.
Each of these men has a very specialized job, and some of those jack men carry the jack, and some of them sling it around the front of the car. Whatever works best.
Whatever works best for each team.
Terry Labonte has gotten off pit road ahead of Neil Bonnet, so that'll put Labonte in the lead. Once we go back to green flag racing, now let's go to pit road.
I'm with Billy Hagan, Terry Labonte's car runner. Billy, you must be proud of your young man out there today.
I'm proud of my young man, my crew chief, my engine builder, the whole team. The whole team is out front today.
Is your car running strong enough today to win the race? Are you that tough?
I think so.
You're optimistic. Billy Hagan, owner of the number 44.
Well, he talks about his crew chief. His crew chief is Dale Inman. Inman has 184 Grand National victories to his credit.
I tell you what, incredible record, Dale Inman.
Well, Benny, with the caution flag out, the drivers, they'll get a well-needed rest from the sharp turns around this half mile.
It is. It's a very tough racetrack. There's no time to relax. You work all the time in Martinsville, Mike.
While the drivers get a break, we'll take a break. SETN's exclusive coverage of the Goody's 500 continues in a moment. Speedway, Mike Joy with Benny Parsons and Dick Berggren. As the Goody's 500 unfolds, Terry Labonte is the head of the class. Butch Lindley is back in the race after making repairs to that rear end, but they lost 35 laps in the process.
You know, it's just a shame, because Butch, the car, has been extremely strong. He came here really wanting to do well, because Butch Lindley, like probably 10,000 sportsman drivers, wants to make it a Grand National racing. And he's proven today that he can do the job if he can just find the right car.
Lindley separates the 2 leaders. Terry Labonte in 44, Harry Gant in 33, and looks like he'll get one of those 35 laps back.
Now he's only got 34 more to go. What the heck? Who knows? He might win this thing, Mike.
Harry Gant will try to follow Lindley up through the inside as they move up on Lenny Kahn's Oldsmobile.
He's going to do a pretty good job out of it. Good move by Harry Gant. Excellent move. Oh! It was close down there, Mike. It was close.
Space between those cars. Oh! There is no space between those cars. Gant comes right up in the groove in front of Labonte.
Oh, Dale Earnhardt, who is 3rd place in the Winston Cup right now, would probably love to see this film, because he almost took the lead, Mike, in the point standings.
Those 2 cars had knocked each other out of the race right there. He certainly would have. Gant is the leader. Labonte is 2nd.
Darrell Waltrip has now moved up to 3rd. Ron Bouchard is 4th. Buddy Baker 5th. And Tommy Ellis is now 6th. I think Dick Berggren has something on tires. Let's go down to pit road.
Tires are a source of common concern on pit road. They check them, double check them. One of the things they do is to measure the circumference of the tire. The left rear tire is always just a tad smaller than the right rear, and as they sit still even, every few minutes the tire specialist will check. Make sure it's still the right diameter, the right pressure. When you get a yellow flag, these new ones are going on the leader's car.
What they're doing right there, Mike, is they put a towel or a blanket over those tires to keep the sun off of them, because as sun hits the tires, they get hot and they get air buildup, which changes the size of the tire or stagger.
Morgan Shepherd is in trouble up against the wall in turn number 2, and he's hit it a pretty good shot this time.
Oh, he really has. I can't imagine how he hit the wall with such a terrific angle at Martinsville.
It looked as if a tire might have blown on Shepard's car as he got midways between the first and second corner.
You know, he had that problem earlier on in the race. He blew a right front tire. So it's very possible that there is a problem with the right front of that car blowing tires.
All the leaders have come onto pit road. We're watching Harry Gant as Travis Carter and the Skoll crew go to work. First on the right side of the car, Ron Bouchard just ahead of him makes a quick duck into pit road.
That guy carrying the tires for Harry was just a little hesitant to walk out in front
trouble on the air wrench. It didn't want to fire. He's had to go back and get another one. Now that'll cost Gant on pit road. Now they got that wheel tightened. And they will go around and try to take on all 4 tires before the pace car comes around with the rest of the field.
And we saw Travis Carter inside the car adjusting the chassis there, Mike. There is a bolt that sits over those rear tires that you can reach in that rear window and adjust the chassis. So Harry is leading the race, but evidently he wasn't quite satisfied with the car.
He'll lose the race down pit road. Ron Bouchard, Tim Richmond will be ahead of him. Terry Labonte is already out, and so is Darrell Waltrip. So Waltrip will be the leader when we go back to green flag racing.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Darrell Waltrip at the beginning of the race seemed to be out of it. He was almost a half a lap behind the leaders, and here he is leading the race.
Well, on the short tracks, Junior Johnson's cars have won 45% of the NASCAR short track races over the last 10 years. So they can't be counted out.
Is that right?
44 out of 98.
That is an unbelievable figure. 45%.
And, of course, this year, Junior has not one but 2 cars, Neil Bonnet and Darrell Waltrip. They're lining up for the restart. Waltrip will be the leader. Second will be Terry Labonte. In third will be Buddy Baker after the round of pit stops. Fourth will be Ron Bouchard, and Bouchard, like Neil Bonnet, has a brand-new race car here today.
And I can't imagine that because he finished second behind Jeff Bodine in this race back in April.
Pontiac Trans Am safety car heads for pit road, and here comes the field, thundering down to the restart. Waltrip will lead them into turn number 1. Labonte right on his tail. And then Buddy Baker, and Baker's performance remarkable in that his team, the Wood Brothers, out of nearby Stewart, Virginia, don't have a car for the short track.
That's exactly right. This is a long track car, a car built for Charlotte, Atlanta, racetracks like that. They bring it to Martinsville because the Wood Brothers' home is Stewart, Virginia, only about 30 miles from here, and they feel like that they want to race at home.
Baker's car, number 21, the Valvoline Ford, running in 3rd place. Bouchard has the 4th spot, but he's got a lot of lap traffic separating him from the leaders.
And I just noticed on the screen, Harry Gant is underneath Ron Bouchard going down the back straightaway. Looks like he's trying to take that spot away.
So Gant trying to move up in the field as now Darrell Waltrip is the rabbit that everybody's trying to chase. Terry Labonte runs in 2nd. Buddy Baker is 3rd. And we'll be back with more of the Goodies 500 from Martinsville Speedway right after these messages. Waltrip's the race leader in Martinsville, Virginia. Harry Gant has gone 1 lap down after he and Dale Earnhardt got into a bumping and shoving fracas that flattened the tire on Gant's car. Ron Bouchard has been in and out of pit road. They broke a rear end on that machine, had to change it. And Bouchard, who's been suffering from the flu all weekend, was overcome by fumes. And Ricky Rudd is now driving in relief of Bouchard.
Yeah, we watched Butch Lindley in his car with a rear end problem, and the thing didn't smoke that bad. It really didn't get that hot. NASCAR black flagged him right away. But Bouchard stayed out there until the thing would just burn to a crisp, and the smoke, the fumes was incredible. You could smell them all over this facility. And Bouchard breathed those fumes for a few laps, and I tell you, he was a sick young man when he came out of that car, Mike.
So Ricky Rudd is now in the 47 car as we watch the race leaders. Trouble down at turn 2. Tim Richmond slides and spins into a stalled Kyle Petty. Doesn't look like it damaged Richmond's car too badly, not from this angle.
He's trying to, you know, that's how slick the race, you see how slick the racetrack is? The right rear tire just trying to get started wouldn't get a grip on the racetrack. Kyle Petty is moving again.
Richmond hit Petty with the left rear of the machine. It looks like it may have badly knocked that rear end out of line.
It's very possible. It doesn't take much. Those things have long truck trailing arms that hold the rear end. The arms are about 9 or 10 feet long, and they can bend very easily.
Kyle Petty still on the racetrack. He had crunched the right front of that car, but it looked as if Richmond hit him behind the wheel, didn't damage it too much. We're under caution. Here's Waltrip in the pits.
And, you know, we can't say enough about Darrell Waltrip because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, he had fallen back and was a half a lap down. Now, all of a sudden, he is the race leader and is driving away from Terry Labonte. So they've worked on the car. They've adjusted the car. Darrell has kept the car. We see the car. There isn't a scratch on it. You know, Darrell Waltrip has been impressive.
Here comes Junior Johnson out to the right side of the car, but he did not make a chassis adjustment, so Waltrip must be pleased the way that car is working now.
Evidently, he is extremely. I can't see why he wouldn't be, because, as I said, he was driving away from his team.
So Darrell Waltrip is the race leader as we're under caution. Terry Labonte, the second-place car. Waltrip was followed into the pits by Labonte, Baker, Bonnet, Elliott, and Rusty Wallace. Let's go to pit road.
Jimmy, can you just tell us what happened? I think Kyle or somebody blew up, and I don't know if he blew up, but he spun, and when I went in there, my car either hit some oil or it just spun out from under me, and it looked like he was going to go to the top, so I went to the bottom. And then he started coming to the bottom, so I tried to go to the top, and when it did it, my car spun, and I almost got it corrected soon enough, but the left rear corner hit him. You're obviously done for the day. Yeah, we've been done for the last 2 or 3 weeks here, it seems, and we can't, you know.
I didn't see what could possibly be that wrong with the car, Mike.
Must have bent that rear end out of shape, Betty. He caught it pretty good with the left rear wheel.
I guess so. The car took off again. I thought he would be able to continue on with no problem.
Well, Kyle Petty, as you saw, was able to make repairs and get back in the race. There's a look at Phil Parsons.
Little brother's having a tough day, and there seems to be a little smoke in the car now, Mike.
Let's get down to pit road where Dick Berggren is with Darrell Waltrip's crew chief, Jeff Hammond.
Jeff, your driver looks like he's running awfully strong. Are there any problems at all with the car?
So far, no, we haven't had any problems really to mount anything. Early in the race, we were a little bit loose, but right now, everything seems to be working pretty good. But we still got, you know, about half the race to run, so we've got a long ways to go.
Are the brakes all right?
Everything seems to be good.
Are you holding anything back at all, or are you running as hard as you can?
Well, you know, you just kind of bide your time up here until the, you know, last few laps. So, you know, I don't know what Darrell's holding back or how hard he's really running the car. It's all up to him right now.
So Waltrip's the race leader as we're under caution at Martinsville, Virginia, in the Goody's 500. We'll be right back. The green flag racing, Darrell Waltrip leads Terry Labonte, Buddy Baker, Neil Bonnet, and Bill Elliott down to the stripe and the green flag.
Harry Gant wants to get that lap back, Mike, because the car is running well, but he's a lap down.
Trouble down in turn one. Phil Parsons and Tommy Ellis have come together. There's Lenny Pond piling in, Richard Petty, Dave Marcus, Ronnie Thomas, and Doug Hevron.
And Harry's trying to get that lap back. If he can pass Darrell Waltrip before they get to the line, he makes up an entire lap. But he don't make it.
And Gant, with a hand in the air, waves off the drivers behind him, signaling the caution flag. Let's look at it again.
Well, I don't really know what happened, Mike. It looks like that maybe Phil and Tommy just simply got together, touched. Phil spins. Now Tommy spins, and poor Lenny Pond has no place to go except right inside Phil's car, which let Dick Brooks get by on the inside without a scratch.
Richard Petty knocked a chunk out of the grill of his Pontiac, while the cars behind, Marcus, Thomas, and Hevron, are able to stop in time. So we're under caution again after running only one lap under the green.
Phil's got some pretty serious damage on the right rear of that car, and the right rear tire is flat, as we see.
So he'll have to stop once more for repairs, and he has had a long afternoon.
It's been a long afternoon for Phil.
So the pace car is back out again, and yellow flag fever persists here at the Martinsville Speedway. Lenny Pond's car knocked the whole nose off the car, so there's no hood pins left to hold that hood down.
Well, the hood, what holds the hood down is 4 pins, about 3/8 of an inch thick, and he sheared all 4 of them, I guess, when he hit Phil over there.
So Lenny Pond will make repairs. Meanwhile, the field is doubled up once again for a restart of the back straightaway. The cars on the lead lap line up to the outside. Waltrip, Labonte, Baker. And the cars that are 1 or more laps down, you see Harry Gant, and right behind him, the Ron Bouchard car with Ricky Rudd driving. They line up on the inside. If Gant can get the jump on Waltrip, he'll get back on the lead lap.
And I tell you, the car's running well. He can win this race if he can just get that lap back. He's really going to be trying, Mike.
Coming down for the flag, Waltrip gets a good jump on the start.
Oh, did he ever? Tremendous jump by Darrell Waltrip.
So Waltrip leads the pack to turn 1. Then Gant, then Terry Labonte, the second-place car, then Rudd, then Buddy Baker, the third-place machine, and right with him, Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott.
Darrell Waltrip's car was just not this strong at the beginning of the race, Mike, but I don't know. They've worked on the car. The racetrack has changed something, but he now has the dominant car. And there's the same 3 cars we saw in the accident a moment ago.
At least this time they're headed in the right direction.
At least, yeah.
Waltrip leads Gant a lap down and Labonte off the corner. Now Labonte can't afford to sit there behind Harry Gant if he's going to have a run at the lead. He has not yet led this race today. That means that Waltrip, and not he, has picked up 5 Winston Cup bonus points.
Exactly. And those 5 points, it's getting to the point now that they count those 5 points. It's like 100 points early on in the season. This is pretty good racing right here, Mike. These 3 cars are pretty close.
Gant has led the race. He's now a lap down, fighting to get back on the lead lap.
He's on the outside. He's trying to pass Darrell on the outside.
Oh, he takes it close to the wall.
And the caution is out. I don't know what's happened, but the caution flag is out.
NASCAR reports a piece of debris down in turn number 1. A brake duct has fallen off one of the cars, and of course, if a car ran over that, it would flatten the tire and cause a wreck. So in the interest of safety, we're under caution again.
And now Harry gets another shot to get alongside Darrell and try to beat him down in that corner once more.
It's a brief caution, so we're set to go back to racing. Waltrip, Labonte, Baker, Bonnet, and Elliott on the outside groove. Those are the cars on the lead lap, along with Rusty Wallace, the rookie driver.
They're accelerating in 2nd gear, hit 3rd gear, now to 4th gear, and dive down in the corner.
Gant's got a shot at it. He's inside of Waltrip. He may get a lap back here. Off the corner, almost like they're tied together.
I think Darrell Waltrip's going to ruin the image on his car if he isn't careful. He's going to get a big tire mark down the side of him.
Gant is there, but Waltrip pulls off the corner and has the advantage. Labonte is on the outside with him. And Waltrip cuts Gant off at the corner.
Now, Labonte wants to go by Harry on the outside, but I don't think Harry's going to play that game.
Richard Petty is 2 laps down behind Labonte. Then the 3rd place car, Buddy Baker. Then 4th place Neil Bonnet, and a couple of lap cars before Elliott and Wallace.
You see the line that these cars are taking off the turn. That's with new tires. Once the tires get hot and start getting slick, these cars will get closer and closer to those retaining walls as they come off the 2nd and 4th corner, Mike.
A couple of laps ago, Harry Gant got about as close as you can get.
That's true.
The space between Gant and the wall was about the thickness of one of those concession stand hamburgers. Back to turn 1. It'll be Waltrip, Gant, and Labonte, same order. Then Baker, Richard Petty. You see now on your screen. Petty 2 laps down, but he is back up in the top 10 by virtue of the attrition here.
I don't think we can say enough today about 2 drivers. Darrell Waltrip, again, they've worked on the car. It was not performing well at the beginning. Now it is. And Buddy Baker, we talked earlier on, that is a long track car built for Charlotte, Atlanta, and he has it here at Martinsville today on this short track. And Mike, a great job in the top 4.
He is 3rd right now. That's the 21 car of Baker. What's basically the difference between a super speedway car and a short track car?
Well, the basic is the car is a little bit heavier, so therefore these cars built for short tracks have to weigh 3,700 pounds, so they put ballast in the car or lead in the car. Well, these cars have a tremendous amount of ballast, and they can put it where they want to. Buddy Baker's car would probably weigh 150 pounds more than these short track cars, and therefore he can't put as much ballast in the car to make each corner of the car weigh what they want it to weigh.
Labonte in the 44 car, still trying to work on Harry Gant, and not having much luck.
He really isn't. Nobody's having any luck right now. Harry Gant wants to get by Darrell, but Darrell's just strong enough that he really can't make a run at it. Labonte wants to buy Harry because he wants to lead this race, get those 5 bonus points, but Harry's a little bit too strong for him. It looks like a Mexican standoff right now.
With Waltrip leading in the Junior Johnson, Warner, Hodgson, Budweiser Chevrolet. Terry Labonte, the Piedmont Airlines Chevrolet, owned by Billy Hagan, whom you met earlier, wrenched by Dale Inman and the crew, running in 2nd, and the famed Wood brothers from Stewart, Virginia, with their driver, Buddy Baker, out of Charlotte, North Carolina, riding in the 3rd spot. 2 Chevrolets and a Ford lead the survivors here at Martinsville Speedway in the Goody's 500. A lap down, Harry Gant, he's the 6th place car. Check that 7th place car, trying hard to get back on the lead lap. Can he do it? Stay tuned. Darrell Waltrip about to put a lap on Kyle Petty, making it look easy here at Martinsville Speedway. He has opened up a huge advantage on the 2nd place car as Kyle goes to pit road.
Well, Kyle's car just doesn't look to be up to speed, Mike. I don't know. Maybe the tires are just gotten so hot and worn out that he simply had to stop and get new tires.
So So the Petty Enterprises crew giving Kyle the service he needs to get back out and finish this Goody's 500. As Waltrip rounds off the fourth corner and heads down the front straightaway with the second place car not in sight.
He has just pulled away from the competition. You know, again, it's tremendous what they've been able to do the last few laps.
There are the fourth and fifth place cars moving past Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott. As Waltrip's the race leader, Terry Labonte's in second, Buddy Baker is third. Ron Bouchard's car is out of the race. Ricky Rudd had driven it in relief, but they've lost the rear end, and he's gone to the pit area. Green flag pit stops are coming up, and this could be the last pit stop of the day.
Here comes your second place car, Terry Labonte. This stop has got to be exactly perfect. The tires they put on have got to prepare the chassis so this kid can fly when he goes back out again. He has not been as fast as Darrell Waltrip. He has got to get some speed out of it this time. A good stop for Labonte. 2 tires, a full load of fuel in 13.29.
That is a tremendous pit stop. 13.5 seconds to put on 2 tires and put in a can of gas. Tremendous pit stop for Dale Emmett and the whole Piedmont Airlines crew.
Pull into your corner gas station, you can't get anybody to come out and look at the car for 13 seconds.
Exactly.
Here's Rusty Wallace. He's been running the last half of this race, as you can see, without brakes. He tried to come in the pit slow, couldn't do it. He'll have to come around again. This should set up the leader's pit stop. Darrell Waltrip is headed for pit road. Let's go back down to Dick Berggren.
Here comes Darrell Waltrip, your leader, on pit road now. They have tires ready for the right-hand side. 2 loads of fuel ready to go in. Waltrip calls for a wet rag to wipe his face. It's mighty hot the cars at this point. 1 can in, 2nd can ready to go. Tires on the right side. And there goes Waltrip. Very fine stop, 12.87 for Darrell Waltrip.
Well, they're not trying to fill the tank up, Mike. You know, as soon as they got the 2 outside tires changed, he left because they've got enough fuel to make the rest of the race without having to fill the car up.
Despite the big label on the side of that 80-pound can Henry Benfield was holding, that's not Budweiser, and there's Union 76 racing gas. So Waltrip is back on the speedway. He did not lose the lead as car owner, car builder Junior Johnson, himself a winner of 50 Grand National races, looks on. Waltrip has caught Terry Labonte.
And this is to put Terry Labonte a lap down. That's how dominant Darrell Waltrip's car has become. He's about to lap the second place car, Mike.
Labonte, the 44 car, holding on to second. Buddy Baker in third. Neil Bonnet in fourth. And in fifth, Bill Elliott. Sixth is Rusty Wallace.
And Darrell's almost, he's beside Labonte. Oh, he almost lost the car going in turn 1.
Waltrip now underneath Labonte. He can get a good jump off the corner. He can lap him, but Labonte hangs tough.
Well, this is for the race. I mean, if Labonte can stay in the same lap, he realistically has a chance to win. If Waltrip gets him a lap down, it's going to be awfully hard to win.
No contact between the two. As they get into the corner, Labonte on the outside gives Waltrip plenty of racing room. Can't stay with him this time, and Waltrip will lead this race by a full lap.
Labonte fights back again. He don't want to give up, Mike, but I don't see how he's going to do anything too much about it. Well, he finally does give up.
It's a foregone conclusion that Labonte, now he's got to sit and ride and hope that either something happens to Waltrip's car or Darrell makes a mistake.
And I don't think that Darrell Waltrip is going to make a mistake at this point in the race. I mean, he is a veteran, Mike, one of the very, very best, not only today, but of all time in stock car racing. So him making a mistake is very rare. All Labonte, I think, can do is hope for mechanical failure.
Well, the attrition rate has taken its toll today. Lately, Tommy Ellis is out of the race. He's lost a rear end in his Chevrolet. Buddy Arrington, the only Dodge in the field, has lost an engine, and Phil Parsons is out with engine trouble.
His trouble he started on about the 3rd or 4th lap, and it got worse as the day wore on.
Waltrip rounds off the corner once again, down the front straightaway. The complete absence of any slipping and sliding by that car compared to the way everybody else is working.
It's amazing just how well that car has been performing. There's Bill Elliott, who, you know, started about the middle of the pack and has had a pretty good run today. He's up in the top 5 now.
And next to Elliott, you saw Dale Earnhardt, the number 3 Wrangler car of Richard Childress. He's not been much of a factor this afternoon since that banging match with Harry Gant early on.
And it seems like we've talked to his crew, and he's lost some engine from it. He's lost some cylinders in the engine. These cars have V8s in them, and they say now that they think he's on at least 6 cylinders.
Earnhardt getting overlapped by the 9 car of Bill Elliott. Elliott, the 5th place machine. And here's Waltrip once again down the front straightaway, pulling up on Dave Marcus.
That Waltrip car looks perfect, Mike. It just goes through the turn, comes off the turn like there's nothing to it. But you see how closer they're getting to those walls as they exit turn 2 and turn 4. They're getting out against them now.
Well, the track has got to be awful slippery with the number of blown engines and rear ends we've had.
I would think so. I would think so. And the heat that's out there today. Again, as I mentioned a moment ago, it's a very warm day for autumn in Virginia.
Waltrip moves under Dave Marcus. There is the 5th place car, Bill Elliott, in the Coors Melling Ford. Look at him slide up the racetrack.
He was fighting that steering wheel, wasn't he?
Just couldn't hold the bottom groove. As Waltrip's domination of the Martinsville Speedway continues, we'll take this break from the Goody's 500. Goody's 500. Terry Labonte still the 2nd place car. Bill Elliott has moved up to the 3rd spot. Like Labonte, he's also 1 lap behind. Harry Gant is now 2 laps down. He's the 4th place car. Both Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker have backslid a bit in the standings. Bonnet is now 5th, and Baker is 6th.
Labonte's not having too much success at wishing bad luck on Darrell Waltrip because everything's going his way. No problems whatsoever.
Waltrip pulling up on lapped cars. He's about to put Baker 3 laps down as Ronnie Thomas moves underneath Buddy Baker. Thomas, a young fellow from Christiansburg, Virginia, in the 41 car, has had a pretty rough season of it and a rough weekend. He started the race, was involved in that 2nd lap crash with Sam Ard, but after spending 20 laps in the pits, he's run well the rest of the day.
He has, Mike. I've watched the car all day, and Ronnie Thomas has been very, very fast today, and it's a shame that he started the race so far down because he could have had one of his better finishes of the season, of his career today in Martinsville.
Well, with Labonte and Gant all but out of contention in this race, Labonte was able to lead a lap under caution. Gant led during the green flag, so that enabled both to pick up a 5-point Winston Cup bonus. Waltrip will get a 10-point bonus, 5 for leading a lap and 5 for leading the most laps today.
Tell you what, he's going to make a run on Labonte, but I don't know. He's over 200 points behind after this race, and it'd be very difficult for him to win the championship from that far back.
Waltrip rounds off the corner once again, right behind Buddy Baker's machine. Baker, now the 5th place car, 2 laps down, in danger of going 3 behind, but that's all academic now in the closing lap.
Right now, Baker, he's like a lot of other guys. He's just trying to see the checkered flag, which is going to be coming up pretty soon, but all he wants to see is the checkered flag to get this thing over and get whatever he can get out of it.
Harold Kinder counting the laps down on the flag stand for the drivers that remain. Waltrip not pushing Baker too hard, but here's Ronnie Thomas. He knows he's inside of the leader, wants to get a little TV time, and he's going to get in there and mix it up a bit.
Isn't that wonderful? He's going to pass the great Darrell Waltrip.
Harold Kinder has the flag in hand as Waltrip rounds off the corner. White flag, 1 lap to go for Waltrip to put the 6th notch in his gun for the 1984 season.
Darrell has had a pretty good year. You know, he's a couple hundred points behind in the championship, but 6 victories, you can't really say anything bad about that, Mike.
Waltrip into turn number 3 for the final time. Won't try to make the move on Baker. Here comes Ronnie Thomas as they move up on Doug Hebron.
He just passed the great Darrell Waltrip coming off the 4th corner for the checkered flag.
Waltrip wins the Goody's 500. And don't count them out of the championship just yet.
I would think not, because, you know, a couple hundred points, he can make it up.
Dick Bergeron is on pit road with Waltrip's car owner.
Junior Johnson, your man, dominated today. You must be very pleased.
Yeah, we are. We had a little trouble with the chassis there to start the race. It was a little bit out of adjustment. We finally got that dialed in, and when they did, he was on his way.
As Waltrip's car is pushed to the post-race inspection, the driver's already made his way over to victory lane. Let's join him with Dick Bergeron.
Darrell, are you surprised at all that you were able to dominate the field as you did today?
Well, we anticipated that the track would get exactly like it did. We set the car up different than we thought we ever had, really. But I felt like that the track would get slick. I knew it was going to be hot today, and we made some changes yesterday afternoon, and the car did. Like I told Jeff when the race over, it wasn't like I'd like for it to be, but it's sure better than anybody else's, and that's what we strive for.
Brakes are always such a story here at Martinsville. How were yours at the end of the race?
And they seem to be great. I about
spun out down here getting by Labonte, I had enough brakes to lock the wheels up. So that's a real a real blessing at the end of the race to have brakes like that where you can go and race people. I think that's key also to us running so well today.
So many body men are going to have so much work to do this week. How about your guys? Did you have any contact out there at all?
Well, I think we'll clean the window and charge a battery and head on over to North Wilkesboro and see how we can do over there.
The pass whip by Labonte when you were lapping him, was that your decision or was it Junior's decision, your Jeff Hammond?
No, I knew what they wanted me to do. If he hadn't have wanted me to lap him, he would have told me so. You know, he would have called me and said, back off, you got everybody covered. We've lost races with 10 laps to go because we cut a tire down or a caution flag. I didn't want to take that chance today. I had the fastest car and a better handling car, and I didn't see no reason not going up there and get him a lap down. And then we had some security the last 10, 15 laps there.
It didn't look too secure when you're underneath him, no. Was it a little bit slippery down there?
Well, it was, and I went in hard and locked the wheels up. And he bobbled, and I bobbled, and we must have made about the same move because we never touched. We just kept right on going, and it was a good race for us. I'd like to thank the good Lord for a safe race and a good race, and give credit to him. And I have a good friend in the hospital that's had a heart attack, Leonard Isaacs. I'd like to say hi to him today and dedicate this win to him.
A great win for Darrell Waltrip. We'll be right back to the Martinsville Speedway for some closing comments.
Ramming and bamming, it lived up to Martinsville's reputation.
Typical Martinsville race, that's exactly right. Lots of sheet metal being crinkled, lots of exchanges being put on each other, a lot of insults being back and forth, a lot of tire marks. But all in all, it ended up being a non-typical Martinsville race.
Because at the halfway point, Darrell Waltrip just ran away from the field and hid.
And I don't think there was a caution flag for the last 250 laps, and Darrell Waltrip really hid from the field. Tribute to him and his team.
Coming up on SETN, we'll bring you the Hodgson American 500 from Rockingham, North Carolina. For Dick Berggren and Benny Parsons, this is Mike Joy congratulating Darrell Waltrip on his Goody's 500 victory. The Goody's 500 on SETN has been brought to you by Goody's Headache Powders and Extra Strength Tablets. You get a lot more relief with Goody's. And by the makers of Skoal and Copenhagen. For real tobacco pleasure without lighting up. A pinch is all it takes. The executive producer of SETN is Jim Wigglesworth. Goody's 500 directed by Jack Hilliard.